Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a fun one to talk about. George St-Pierre versus Jorge Masvidal. Masvidal has recently expressed interest in fighting GSP. He gave him praise, but also stated that he will break his face. So let's get into how these guys match up in the octagon. Jorge Gamebred Masvidal is 5'11". He has a 74-inch reach. He has a professional mixed martial arts record of 35 wins, 13 losses. Gamebred is a well-rounded fighter. He's primarily a striker, I would say, but he can wrestle, he can submit you if need be. A whole lot of experience, very tough. I would say some really crafty and tricky striking. Masvidal has recently been on a tear. His last 3 wins, Nate Diaz, TKO Dr. Stoppage. Before that, he stopped Ben Askren with a flying knee, which set the record for the UFC's fastest knockout, and prior to that fight, he knocked out Darren Till. It seems that Masvidal has really come into his own, perfected his craft, and changed his mindset, which really elevated his career. The consensus is pretty much that Jorge was 2019's Fighter of the Year. George Rush St-Pierre is 5'10.5". He has a 76-inch reach. His MMA record is 26 wins, 2 losses. The 2 losses on his record, he avenged those. GSP is a first-degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, multiple black belt in different forms of karate, considered by many, and I don't think there's an argument about this, as possibly the greatest of all time. He's in those talks, certainly top 3. He's about as well-rounded as you can get as a fighter. He's good everywhere. He has great striking, phenomenal ground game, high fight IQ, he's very strong and athletic, freak athlete actually. He has a submission game. His well-roundedness and high fight IQ makes him dangerous for any opponent because he can exploit your weaknesses, as he has few. GSP's last fight was in 2017. He submitted Michael Bisping for the UFC middleweight belt. So the matchup. How does Gamebred Masvidal and George Rush St-Pierre match up in the cage? Like I said, Masvidal has been on an absolute tear, super impressive, really turned his career around, an extremely dangerous fighter. But if he competed against George St-Pierre at welterweight, I would have to give the nod and the edge to GSP. It's kind of hard to pick against a guy on a 13-fight win streak, one that's considered the greatest of all time, who has avenged every loss, who has little to no weaknesses, and one of the best athletes we've ever seen in the sport. Can Masvidal win this fight? Yes, he can. He has some pretty stellar stand-up. There's always the threat that Masvidal can catch you with something big, put your lights out. He's very, very tricky on the feet. He can knock you out with punches, kicks, knees, elbows. And that's pretty much the most probable way I see of Jorge winning this fight. If he catches GSP with something big and knocks him out. Easier said than done. GSP has one of the highest fight IQs in the game. If he sees that he's in danger standing, he's gonna take you down. And I think his takedown percentage is like 86%. If he shoots for a takedown, most likely you're hitting the mat and you're not getting back up. And that's exactly what I think will happen in this fight. I think GSP would test Jorge's stand-up. If things got a little bit dicey, he's going to shoot on Masvidal, take him down, land ground and pound, and probably do that for the entire fight and win via dominant decision. I don't think GSP would stop Jorge. Jorge's extremely tough, and he's improved quite a bit. If GSP were to stop Masvidal, I would say it's probably going to be a submission. Masvidal has some pretty underrated wrestling, but I honestly don't think it's good enough to keep the fight on the feet. Not against GSP anyway. I think George is the better wrestler, he's the stronger fighter and the better athlete. If somehow Jorge can keep it on the feet, then things get interesting. But GSP is no slouch standing, he has a great jab, he's very diverse, he has awesome footwork, very intelligent and technical, not to mention he has great cardio. But to wrap up this breakdown in short, I'm going to give the edge on the feet to Masvidal, at least the danger factor, the overall edge and skill to GSP, the ground game definitely to GSP, and my pick for this fight would be George St-Pierre to decision Jorge Masvidal. Even at 38 years old, GSP never stops training, he's always in shape, freak athlete again, and 38 for a guy like him is not a huge deal. I honestly think he's still very close to his prime physically. Anyway guys, that's going to wrap up this breakdown, but curious to know what you think about this matchup. If they do fight down the road, who do you think wins and why in the comment section? Drop those thoughts. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please click subscribe, share the video. That's important. Like it. And until the next breakdown, guys, and segment, you all take care.